Hi there, Thomas George here, and I wanted to make this video to talk about 10 essential pieces of equipment for beginner home producers. So some of these may be quite obvious, but if you're new to music production, hopefully this video will help you out. Okay, the first one is a laptop or computer. That does sound really obvious, I know. But yeah, just make sure you've got a computer that's powerful enough to run your DAW digital audio workstation. It doesn't have to be the most powerful computer in the world, but obviously the more powerful, the better. You don't need a Mac either. A lot of people seem to think you have to have a Mac for music production. However, if you're going to be using Logic Pro or GarageBand, but I recommend Logic Pro over GarageBand. If you're going to be using Logic Pro, it is Mac only, so you will need a Mac computer. That brings me on to the second piece of equipment, or software, is a DAW or digital audio workstation. So this is a piece of software that allows you to record, edit, mix, and make music with your computer. There are many different DAWs, but just make sure you get a Pro-Level DAW. So the Pro-Level ones, just off the top of my head, are Logic Pro, Ableton Live, FL Studio, Studio One, Pro Tools, Reaper, Cubase, and there's a few other ones as well. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend using GarageBand or Audacity, which are more kind of budget-free ones. They're not pro-level ones, but the pro-level ones, you will have to pay for them, but they are better. So which one is really up to you. You have to research, but like I said, make sure you get a pro-level DAW. Just a side note, a lot of these pro-level DAWs will come with a lot of different samples and sounds. So sound libraries, preset sounds, kick drum sounds, snare sounds, loops, that kind of thing. But there are websites such as Splice where you can find other sample packs, presets and sounds if you want to find some additional ones. But as I said, most pro-level DAWs should come with a good selection of sample packs and sounds. And next is a MIDI device. I'd recommend a MIDI keyboard, but there are other MIDI devices that you could use, such as the Push. But a MIDI keyboard, it comes in different sizes depending on your desk space and your needs. You could get a smaller 25 key all the way up to 88 key, which is the same amount of keys as a full-size electric piano. So this allows you to play in notes. So in your music software, you can use musical typing to actually type in some notes, but it is a lot nicer to play the keys on a MIDI keyboard and program it in like that. Also, if you grew up playing the piano, the keyboard, it is a lot easier just playing in some notes than programming it, but it is useful to know how to play the keyboard and also how to program via musical typing. These MIDI keyboards come at different price points, and as I said, different sizes. I personally like one with weighted keys. I also personally like one that doubles up as an electric piano, so I can just turn it on, play some chords or play some notes quickly, and then I can also connect it to the computer via a USB cable. And the next one, number 4, is an audio interface. An audio interface has a few different jobs, but the main one is it allows you to plug a microphone or an instrument into your computer. So it's a box, and it has an analog to digital converter, so you can convert the analog signal from, say, a microphone into a digital signal, so you can plug it into your computer. A lot of audio interfaces also have a headphone amplifier, and they also have a digital to analog converter, so which allows you to plug some speakers or monitors into your computer as well. So if you just want to make music on your laptop and plug in a pair of headphones, you don't necessarily need an audio interface, but when you start using studio monitors or speakers and you want to record audio, then you definitely will need an audio interface. I recommend getting an audio interface that has a clean preamp, so it doesn't add too much hiss when you crank up the gain for recording your microphone. That leads me on to number 5, which is a microphone. So if you want to record vocals, or let's say want to mic up an instrument, you will need a microphone to capture this. The most common types of microphones are dynamic and condenser. Condensers generally sound better, but they are less convenient. So a condenser, it picks up the high end really well, but it's ever so sensitive. And if you're in a room that doesn't sound so good, it's going to pick up a lot of the room sound. And if it's noisy outside, it will pick up a lot of the sound. A dynamic mic picks up a smaller area. So if you're in a bad sounding room, it can sound better. Or if you're in a noisy environment, a dynamic mic can be better as well. It really does depend on your price point and your needs. But if you want to record audio, you will need a microphone. So I do recommend researching dynamic and condenser mics and find the one that's most suitable for you. Next, we have studio headphones. So it is a good idea to mix your music on headphones and on monitors or speakers. So we get open back headphones and closed back headphones. They each have different uses. So open back, you can actually hear the sound come out the headphones, and closed back, well, they're closed, so you're not meant to hear the sound come out the headphones. So if you're going to be doing, say, a podcast, or you're going to be in the same room as someone singing and you don't want the sound to come out the headphones, make sure you get closed back, but open back headphones can sound slightly better and can offer a more immersive listening experience. Next is studio monitors or speakers. I've talked about these already, but it is a good idea to mix your music on headphones and on monitors. Just make sure you get studio monitors. If you just use regular speakers, they will add a bit of color to the sound and will change it. Really, you want it as clear as possible, so when you're mixing music, it sounds just as it should. Depending on your price point and also your space, there's loads of different types of studio monitors to choose from. I do recommend doing some research and finding some that are suitable for your studio space. Okay, next one, number 8. This one is overlooked quite a lot, and I do think it's very important, and this is room treatment. So if you want to mix in your room, or if you want to record audio in your room, the sound of your room is very important. If you don't get the sound of your room right, your mixes aren't going to sound as they should, and your audio will sound very reverberant. So I do recommend treating your room. You will have to do some research though. There's no one size fits all. It depends on the size of your room and exactly what you want to do. But I do recommend getting some bass traps in the corner, getting some good quality panels, or even some foam if you're on a budget. Okay, number 9 is cables and accessories. This may sound obvious, but make sure you have mic stands, mic cables, a spare cable, because cables can break quite a lot, so it's good to have one hanging around you can just plug in straight away, rather than having to order another one from Amazon or another site and waiting for it to arrive. And pop shields as well, if you can have microphones, if you want to get rid of some of those plosives, yeah, make sure you have a pop shield as well. And number 10 isn't really for beginners, but this is outboard gear. So this could be an analog synthesizer, for example, it could be a preamp, it could be an outboard EQ, an outboard compressor. It is a lot easier and a lot cheaper to use the software version, but outboard gear can be really nice to use if you have your own studio space and you have a bit more money to spend on the gear. And it can give you a different type of sound as well, and you can get some really good results from outboard gear. Again, depending on your budget, there's so many different types of outboard gear. But I do recommend doing some research on all the things I've talked about. And yeah, research before you buy. If possible, if you can go to a music production shop and test some of this stuff out before you buy it, can be great. Because one thing that I might like, you might dislike, and vice versa. So I do recommend going out there and testing it all out, and read the reviews, and read the non-biased reviews to find something that's most suitable for your needs. Okay, so these are the top 10 pieces of equipment that I recommend for home producers. So to summarize, number 1 is a laptop or computer that's powerful enough to run a Pro-Level DAW, or digital audio workstation. Number 2 is the Pro-Level DAW with some sample packs, sounds and presets. And then it's a MIDI keyboard or MIDI device and an audio interface. And then studio headphones, studio monitors, room treatment, cables and accessories. And the last one isn't really for beginners, but it can be nice, which is outboard gear. Okay, so that's the end of this video. I hope you found it useful. If you liked it, give it a like. And if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.